戦者現る
Unbeatable, merciless, destructive. These among other words to describe the stature of the man behind the Tengu mask. Mr. Karate was his name, and his brute strength was feared among many fighters of the world. So much fear indeed that the crime lord in the underbelly of Southtown, Geese Howard, forced a Kyokugenryu practitioner under his control through nefarious means instead of taking him head on. Ensuring his cooperation, Mr. Big, who was also a strong soldier for Geese, kidnaps a woman named Yuri Sakazaki, and thus kicking off the events of the art of fighting. Yuri's older brother, Ryo Sakazaki, along with his best friend and partner, Robert Garcia, rip through Southtown, destroying everyone in their path and looking for clues to her whereabouts. Impeding on Mr. Big, and after defeating him, he leads them to the apex of this ultimate battle, a final confrontation with Mr. Karate himself. Staring down the barrel of an emotional challenge, Ryo Sakazaki is able to subdue the Tengu Titan. But before he is able to deliver the final blow, Yuri pulls him away, crying, pleading, begging for him to stop, because the man behind the Tengu mask was indeed their long-lost father, Takuma Sakazaki. Takuma immediately explains the reason behind everything: being forced to work for Geese to eliminate his enemies, being held under pressure from Big with the kidnapping of his daughter, and ultimately hiding behind the mask to avoid the man within for the crimes he's committed. However, in this, he disregards the Tengu mask, becoming Mr. Karate no more. So this is the extent of Mr. Karate in a canonical fashion, but he has been unleashed in some other SNK fighting games where his tyrannical story presence converges with his magnificent gameplay experience. SNK vs Capcom Chaos, he was a playable character and a mid-arcade boss. This form was a bit more lax than comic relief, but still a threat. Serious Mr. Karate and or Honky Ninata Mr. Karate is the alternative version that takes on that demon reputation that he built up in the past and is further pushed by being one of the bosses of the game. Probably his most famous appearance was that of King of Fighters 13, where Karate was a force to be reckoned with, especially in competitive play. He was a constant on just about every top player's team and was one of the strongest DLC characters in the history of fighting games. And now the legacy of the Tengu mask continues on as Season 2 City of the Wolves' newest character. Now my math isn't the best, but if Takuma is still under the mask, he'd be something like mid-70s, right, in City of the Wolves? Which has me thinking this could very well be someone else under the mask. Alright, just hear me out a bit. Between looking more suave, having some flashier moves, and an Italian accent, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly who it could be under the mask, but I don't know, I'm drawing a blank here. Anyways, with that being said, the original Mr. Karate was a ferocious gladiator, so let's see what this new one has hidden behind the mask. Mule Kick is a mid-air command cross-up that's very reminiscent of what Robert Garcia has had in previous KOFs and Art of Fighting. Karate can perform a wall jump too, bringing in more assets from Art of Fighting to help him move across the screen. Holding down the kick button off the wall jump will give you a homing attack. Another neat part of this wall jump is that you can do it on any part of the wall actually, so you can do it off of a short hop, or of a full jump, or even if you're closer to landing on the ground. Keeping on with the exclusive moves, Mr. Karate brings some interesting mechanics with him. If you're high on rev gauge, simply hold down any punch button and he will begin to recover his rev meter. Think of this as the spirit meter from the old Art of Fighting games. He can also raise his opponent's rev meter by razzing them. Performing the taunt with A, B, and C jumps their rev meter up by 17%. Use this in conjunction when zoning. Speaking of zoning, Ryugeki Ken is Mr. Karate's fireball, but it isn't anything but a standard fireball. The light version goes full screen and will knock down on hit. It's also strong enough to eat through some other normal fireballs. The heavy version shares those properties as well, but has an additional effect. Charging it will now turn a small blast into a Hao Shokuken, dishing out additional damage with a wider hitbox. EX Ryugeki Ken resembles the Mr. Karate of old with the Impact Blast, best used to extend combos and frame traps. Hien Shippu Kyaku. Mr. Karate lunges forward with a roundhouse kick combo, putting him airborne. The light version is fast enough to combo off of 3 light normals. The heavy version hits twice and from far out, and it could also be broken for a false attack. The true strength of this move lies in the EX version, where he can not only combo out of heavies, but also the breaking now keeps him grounded. The grounded follow-up is called Dragon Burst, and it's what you can use to make him stay grounded for EX special move follow-ups, or he can make himself -3 off this potential neutral skip. Ryuga, Kyokugenryu's famous uppercut. The light version has invincibility frames for reversals. The heavy and EX versions are best for anti-air combos as they are breakable so you can extend them. And similar to his heavy punch fireball, he can charge up the EX and heavy DP for an additional attack on uppercuts. Honestly, it was pretty hard to find an application for this off of the time I had just labbing him, but if you guys have some ideas or if anybody else has had a chance to play him, please let me know what you guys think about this move, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks. Yene Kyaku. Firing a flurry of fierce strikes, Karate shows his intense spirit through his kicks. Think of these like Marco's Rev Blow, but at any time he can do it during the match as he doesn't require meter. All versions of this attack is best for the middle of combos as they're too slow to start with. The light kick variant dishes out a solid 128 damage, while both the heavy and EX versions weirdly enough do less damage than that. However, you can follow up the last attack with the Dragon Bust to extend the combo, or Rev Excel after the EX version. And finally, Mr. Karate's newest attack, the Drago Supreme Stance. This stance, like many others, have many variable tactics out of it, but let's cover the stance by itself first. While in the Drago stance, he can parry all non-meterless fireballs and mid or high normals. Performing the activation of the Drago stance at the right time will give him a reflect on the fireball and a fully damaging combo. The EX version of that well-timed parry can even be Rev Excel to continue the combo. But going back to the raw stance, he has 4 follow-ups out of it. Pressing A lets you do Dragon Burst, but in reverse, escaping pressure this time. Pressing B cancels the stance completely. Use this for some fake mix-ups. The C button version gives Mr. Karate his old school command grab where he runs up forward and starts kneeing the heck out of your face. And lastly, pressing D, Karate performs an overhead axe kick that has an additional follow-up just in case it connects. All EX variants of C and D do less damage, but they obviously can be comboed after. Now to Mr. Karate's supers, we're starting with the Ryuko Rambo. Ryuko Rambo is his primary super and it hits just as hard as it did in the old days. You definitely want to use this one for wake up supers or reversals, as well as combo enders. And a fun fact for all you newer Fatal Fury fans, the Ryuko Rambo is actually the very first super move in the history of fighting games, superseding everybody else and being created in 1992. His second ignition gear is the Super Hao Shokuken, where Karate sends off this giant fireball. The redline version gives him 3 fireballs back to back, so you actually want to be mindful if you're on the receiving end of this and where to jump and when to jump. He can also play some mind games as the redline version only can be charged and held, similar to Krauser's. And last but not least, let's send you home with the hidden gear from the legendary Tengu Man.
Looks like I'm still going.
That's all for now, fighters. But if you've enjoyed what you've seen, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to follow Rome's social media pages down below. Take care, see you next time, and most importantly, thank you for watching.
Just getting started.